Our next presenter is Cameron Goebel. Thank you, Cameron.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Good morning. So my presentation is called Networking for Administrative Introverts. Let's hear it from the introverts. I knew you were out there. I'm an introvert myself, you might not be able to tell. Networking is sometimes considered an extrovert's game, right? Like, extroverts go out, they can talk to you and they can get involved with you and they can really, create a dynamic relationship with you. I'm an introvert, I still need to network. And I don't have anything against extroverts, right? Don't start thinking that I'm excluding you extroverts. Some of my best friends are extroverts. I don't mind extroversion, as long as you practice your extroversion in the privacy of your own home. Just like I practice my introversion. Really, what I wanted to talk about was how I've managed to use networking in my professional life to help me connect with the people who can help me get things done. And there is nobody better at getting things done than the people in this room. I've been an office coordinator, basically an administrative assistant. I know the kind of pressure that job brings. And I also know what an incredible resource we can be, not only to the people to whom we report and to fulfill the mission of our organization, but also to each other. So, networking, good skill. Let's get started. So I wanted to give you some definitions first. I looked up the word administrator. I'm a bit of a linguophile. And administrator comes from the 15th century, from Middle French, administrateur, I guess. A manager, a conductor, an agent noun from past participle language, right? So a manager, a conductor, somebody who does things. Now, functionally true, yes, I can get behind that, but it might be a little bit impolitic to say, I prefer this word instead. I actually like the word secretary. Let me read this to you, it's awesome. All right, late 14th century, a person entrusted with secrets. From medieval Latin secretarius, clerk, notary, confidential officer, confidant. Confidence is a thing. Noun use of an adjective meaning private, secret, pertaining to private or secret matters. From the Latin secretum, a secret, a hidden thing. Which is more exciting for you to be? So these are the words that really stood out to me. Person entrusted with secrets. Confidential, a confidant, private, secret, a hidden thing. This is cool. I like being a secretary better. Okay. Here's a definition of the word introverted. Okay. And what it says up here is, I'm just on energy-saving mode. The difference between an introvert and an extrovert, depending on who you listen to, it goes back and forth, but there's a definition that I've heard lately that I really, really like, and it's helped me understand that I still have power and I still have energy and I still have agency when it comes to being who I am. The difference between an introvert and an extrovert is that an extrovert and an introvert can go to the same party, right? They can have the same amount of fun, they can see all the same people, and they can talk and catch up with people and all of that. Introverts and extroverts can do that. The difference is that an extrovert, when the party is over, an extrovert is going to step out of the party and say, hey, let's go get a glass of wine. And the introvert will say, yes, let's go have a glass of wine. The extrovert will take their friends and go to the bar because that's fun. The introvert will go back to their home and sit with their cat. All right? It's fine. It costs introverts energy to talk with people. I'm fine up here talking with all of you because none of you are talking back to me, and that's okay. If I was having a conversation one-on-one with you as an introvert, my energy level is starting to go down, right? And eventually I'm running on vapors. It tires me out. It doesn't mean I don't like you, it just means it costs me energy. Being aware of that focus as an introvert can really help you with your networking. So, what I'm going to introduce you to are some low-energy ways of networking with people, connecting with the folks who can share resources, can share wisdom, can share experience, and still get through the day without crying, okay? So, how to focus your networking energy. First, these are techniques that I just use for myself, okay? I'm not going to say that I'm a networking expert or anything like that. This is how I've learned to get along with networking. One of the ways that I found networking worked for me was to stop making it about me making connections, but rather about other people making connections to me. There's a difference. When I go out and I need to get to know somebody, I ask for their stories, and then I shut up and listen. You would not believe how big a gift it is to some folks when you just shut up and listen. Listening is learning. When I'm listening to somebody, not only are they connecting to me because I'm listening to them and hearing their story, but I'm also learning all kinds of things about them and their job and their interests and their projects. What are they doing? What is it that they do all day? Who do they know? I can take all that information in kind of at my own speed. And it feels like networking to both of us, because from somebody who's talking to me, they've got someone who's listening for a change, which is awesome. But I'm learning so much about the university. I was just talking with somebody at my table about how hard it is just to know where to go at UNM. Here's a statistic. You probably know this. At any given time at UNM during a semester, there are approximately 60,000 people on campus who are taking online classes. Students, staff, faculty, business people, everything. 60,000 people. To give you a sense of context, if we were to take UNM, pick it up, and drop it in the middle of the desert, it would instantly become New Mexico's 4th or 5th largest town. Okay? Bigger than Portales, bigger than Clovis, almost as big as Santa Fe. We're not just a big institution, we are a town, we're a culture. There are all kinds of things going on here. If you look at it from the point of view of entrepreneurialism, which is starting up projects with the idea that they might succeed at some point, there are so many different markets, so many different people, so many different interests, so many different energies and capabilities and capacities that we have at UNM. It's just silly not to be aware of what's going on around you. So, my major networking tool, I shut up and listen. Because people entrust us with secrets. As a secretary, right? I learn secrets. I'm confidential. People are confident in me. They know that what they're telling me is going to be private and secret, and I always tell people, like, I don't have politics at UNM. I just want to know what's going on. So that's a really nice sort of way to leverage that. The second thing that I do is I connect other people to each other whose stories I already know. The picture that I'm showing up here is of an event called Ignite New Mexico. Has anybody heard of that? Okay, great. I did an awesome job promoting that. So if I say TEDx in 5 minutes, does that give you a place to start? So it's a public presentation series where people from all over the community can put in their topics. They say, I could talk about this pretty well. The idea behind Ignite is that you get exactly 5 minutes, you have exactly 20 sort of push themselves ahead automatically. And it's basically a really nice way to help people unveil to the world their interests and their passions. What I do at Ignite is I host the event and I coordinate the event. What it does is it creates a platform for people to share their stories. Again, I'm networking. I'm helping people come together and share what they know, and they're all coming through me, so my network is growing. But I'm not spending any energy doing it. I'm not having to be out there and networking myself. I get all the people who presented Ignites. We've done about 15 or 16 Ignites by this point. I've had something like 200 people come in front of me and say, hey, I want to talk. And I know a lot of them, even years after they've given their presentations. Giving somebody else a platform to share their interests is a great networking tool. So, when you see conferences like this, get involved with putting the conference together. You're probably going to meet somebody who's got an interesting story. Or create your own event. If you're in a department where you have a large space that you're looking for things to do with it, find a way to bring people together who have common interests and give them a platform so they can have their voice. That's a great way to network. And you don't have to spend any energy on it. I also build groups of people around my interests. What we're seeing up here, for those of you who can't see, is basically my contacts list in Outlook. So I have a couple of projects that I'm really interested in. The ones that I've got up here are student employee training prototypes. So I'm prototyping a training process for student employees. There's another one that's student success and advisement for the College of Education. Whenever I hear somebody talking about an interest that matches up one of my interests, I take their name and I put them in one of my email groups. I don't have to remember everybody's name, I just have to remember that I have an interest and that other people share that interest with me. And then occasionally I'll send out an email and say, hi everybody, We probably met at some point. Here's what I'm interested in. I usually send an email out maybe once or twice a month, and it's just a quick rundown on what's going on with me. That doesn't cost me any energy because I'm sitting behind my computer, like typing quietly, which is really comfortable for me. But it also keeps that networking alive, it keeps that relationship alive. People know what I'm doing, and I don't have to run into them. I can manufacture points of contact with the people that share my interests. So I write one email and I share many times. Whenever let's say that I sent out an email about my student employee interests to, say, 20 people who I had met at some point that were interested in that. If a 21st person comes along and I put them into my group, I just go back into my email and I send them the email that I sent to everybody else. I catch them up on where I'm at. This is really nice because it's quiet. It provides some value to the people that I'm networking with. They can read what I'm up to and what I'm doing. And it's not just this accidental contact. Because us introverts are so jealous of our energy, the energy that we're willing to spend contacting people and being close to people, it's really nice to know that I've got a focused, low energy message that I can send to people who share my interests. Next, I show how I do my best works and how to follow my interests. So what I've got up here is a web page on a blog. I got a account on blogspot.com. So I'm camerongoebel.blogspot.com is my website. And I occasionally just post up, like, Dear Diary, here's what I did today on this interest. Sometimes I'll make a quick little video. Sometimes I'll just find a photograph and put it up there. I'm constantly documenting what I do. So I've got my iPod, I take pictures of things, and then I'll just post them up to the website. I keep directing people back to my website when I send out my emails, so that not only do they see the one thing that I was interested in, that we shared an interest in, but they can also go back and see the archive of all the other stuff that I do that's related to it. It's a way to build momentum without having to push yourself forward, without having to be in front of people, without having to say, hey, there's 100 people at this conference, I'm going to talk in front of you all now. And quietly go retreat back to my house. Having an archive like this really works. Because I'm on energy-saving mode, right? I also made networking part of my process. I don't know how you extroverts do it. Being ready to talk at a moment's notice, that just blows my mind. I've got a lot of processes that I run, and I use Toodle-Do, which is a to-do list that runs on the getting things done methodology, which is really cool. Anyway, in my task list, I have a task that repeats every 2 weeks, and it's simply this: email a teacher for coffee. I like teachers, and I work at UNM, so that's pretty good. It's easy to find teachers and people who teach, also trainers and mentors and things like that. Every 2 weeks, I just craft a quick email that says, hey, you want to do coffee and let's catch up? I've got a list of 20 or 30 teachers that I've been building a really nice relationship with. And every 2 weeks, I'll just take who's on the top of the list, email them, and then shove them to the bottom of the list. Again, it keeps that conversation alive and that networking alive without having to spend a ton of it. I found networking to be part of my job description. So one of the challenges that I had was, how do I make time to do this? Well, it turns out it's actually in my job description. As a technical training consultant, my job duties are to consult with cross-functional project teams, leaders, and other stakeholders, so I can just go find people who might be interested in what I do professionally, and serves as a point of contact for training needs. So if I can rationalize in my head that I'm contacting someone based around training, I can go and have coffee with them. It's really easy. Not everybody has that liberty or is comfortable doing that, but it's something that I found works. If I'm expected to maintain relationships with people as part of my job, then I will take that time to maintain relationships with people in a nice, focused, trackable way. Some of the results that came out of this, I feel recognized, trusted, and I've been elected to serve. This is really, really weird for me. I serve on the board of directors at QLab, which is a nonprofit technology space. I was nominated to serve. I didn't run for the board of directors. I was told that I will serve now. And I was like, all right. Anybody want to vote for me? And lots of hands went up. That was very weird, but it also made a lot of sense because these were people with whom I had kept a relationship up. I was talking to the members at QLab, sharing my interests with them, and they came to trust me, and they believe that I can do the job of a director. That's awesome. I'm also a representative for the UNM Graduate Student Leadership Alliance, so student government at UNM for the College of Education. I did not go to the College of Education and decide to run for a position. What happened was somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, you would be really good at this. And I turned around and I saw a lot of people behind me, metaphorically speaking, who believed in me. And that was a really nice thing to do. So I said, yeah, I'll throw my hat into that ring, and I got elected. I didn't run a campaign. I was selected by the people who knew I could do a good job as a leader. You know, a leader without followers is just a guy taking a walk, right? You can't be a leader without having people behind you. Networking is a way to get people behind you. When you're at the table, when you're at a meeting or something, and people are saying, yeah, we should do this or we should do that, and suddenly they all start looking to you, because you're the one who can make it happen, and they know that you're the one who can make it happen, and that it can't happen without you. You're a leader whether you tried to be or not. As administrators and administrative assistants, you are all leaders. And when you recognize that you have your following, that's when you recognize that you've been leading the whole time. I'm also on the advisory board for the UNM Student Employee Development Project. This came out of the interest that I had for developing student employee training for the IT department. I just kind of went out and built that, started sharing with my network, like, hey, here's the thing that I was doing, pointed them to my webpage where I put up some supplementary materials, and suddenly I'm getting calls from like, you know, VP Gonzalez and those guys saying, hey, we need your advice on this. You've been doing this work, please come. You will be recognized as you make your interests apparent. And running your network is the way to do that. So, I wouldn't be a great trainer. I wouldn't be a very good trainer anyway, if I didn't tell you some things that you could do right now, sitting at your table. So, first you can look up a master of networking. His name is Stacy Sacco, and he is brilliant. He does an event called the Marcom Mixer. He has a webpage called NM Netlinks where he constantly is posting job updates, local events, things like that. He provides value out as he networks. He's a lecturer at ASM and on and on and on. He's a really swell guy. Look him up, find him on campus, and just talk with him for 5 minutes. He also runs networking classes, so he's a really great guy to learn from. There are 4 ways that you can use your business cards more effectively. The first is to always have some. Just carry them around, okay? Second, staple them to other materials. I don't like giving my business card out. I like to staple it to something and give that to somebody. So if there are brochures that you're passing around and somebody wants your business card, staple it to a brochure. If you're hosting an event, staple it to something that reminds people of the event. Just get them connected to where you met and why and what was interesting about the connection that you're trying to build. I also like to hand over a pen whenever I give somebody my business card, and I ask them to write where we were and what we were talking about on the business card somewhere. There are 2 reasons for that. First, it gets them engaged with the business card, right? They're really looking at it, so they'll remember me. When you write something down, that's when you do a lot of your major learning. So I want people to learn about me when I'm networking with them. If they write down what we were talking about and what was interesting, that's really cemented it in their head, even if they lose the card later. Finally, you can do what's called taking the empty pocket challenge. Give yourself a small number of business cards. If you go to an event, give yourself a small number of business cards and challenge yourself to give them all out by the end of the event. So for us introverts, I would say start with a nice low number, like 1. And work your way up. But if you can even give yourself like 5 cards and just say, look, I'm going to have all 5 cards passed out by the end of the event, you will have gone pretty far. My contact information, my name is Cameron Goebel. I have a phone number, 277-1543. You can email me at camerong@unm.edu. And if you're interested in seeing the stuff that I'm interested in doing, maybe we have a connection. Set your browser to camerongoebel.blogspot.com. I would love to just sit down and talk with you quietly about anything that's your interest. Thank you very much.